All right, first look of the day. We played Murktide a lot yesterday, just like blue-red Murktide, and we wanted to use a lot of the skills we gain in those matchups to help out with piloting Grixis Shadow better, since you do have a lot of overlap between the two decks. And that kind of led to the idea of like, let's mash the two together a bit. We've played like a Murktide deck with just Shadow instead of Murktide before. This is more like a Grixis Shadow deck with Murktide instead of like Croxa. And then since we are heavier on the blue with Counterspell and stuff like that, decided to cut the Croxa out of Squee just as a little less mana intensive way of getting some use out of our graveyard. A good recursive threat. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Squee, but I had a slot. I figured why not. To round out the creature suite, we got 4 Shadows, 2 Channeler, 4 Ragavan, 3 Ledger Shredder, 2 Murktide, and a Squee. Hopefully we don't hit too many of the top end things, but we kind of trimmed on like some Channelers, stuff like that for Shadows. We're not running Archmage's Charms. Instead, we got Thought Seizes. So we'll see how those play out. In the sideboard, I cut the 2 copies of Turok. We had to adjust the mana base a little bit. We cut the second Blood Crypt for a basic island to help out with a lot of these blue intense spells since our black isn't that intense. And then since we cut back on black, we increased the blue in the sideboard, cut the Turok, added in Spreading Seas, a Kaito. So we'll see how it goes. Is it early 2022 again? No. It is October still. Let's double check when that. Pretty sure the showcase is like tomorrow. 2 days. Saturday morning. Okay. Let's make sure that the deck list link works. Maybe if I had the exclamation instead of a capitalization, it would help. There we go. I couldn't think of a better name than SqueeTide, so that's where we're at. If you got a better name in mind, I'm all ears. Also, light's a little dim. Let's buff that. Totally not me knocking over speakers. Oh, never mind. The light was on. It's just dark today, apparently. Great name. I'll appreciate it. Took a lot of time and effort to come up with jamming the names together of the 2 cards I added to the list. I guess Murky was also an option. All right. We're on the draw. We've got turn 1 Ragavan. Need to find a land for this Thoughtseize if we want to cast that pretty soon, but either way, we do have like turn 1 Murktide, or turn 1 Ragavan, turn 2 Shredder, Bobble. For that. Only thing I might try would be 1 drown for a counterspell. Maybe be that Squee you don't like. We'll see how it goes. What on earth is this? 1 and 2, draw a card, then discard a card. 3, exile it, return to the battlefield under your control. And it flips into a 2/3 spirit with flying. I have Never seen this card. But at least at the moment, it looks like my opponent's on some variation of creativity. I want the Thoughtseize, but I'm not double spelling Thoughtseizes next turn, so... In my games, with a few different decks with Squee, the card has been surprisingly fun. It's got a few goods. Doesn't mean it is good, or a few feel goods. Yeah, like, I think the card is just really, really underpowered for anything you'd want in Modern. Like, why do I want to pay 4 to get back Squee, a 2/2 that makes a 1/1 when it attacks, when I could pay 4 and get back Croxa, a 6/6 that makes you discard a card and gets bigger when it attacks? All right. Do I want to Iteration, or do I want to Thoughtseize? If I Thoughtseize, I can play out Murktide this turn as a 5/5. This is gonna flip. Like, I could Iteration and Thoughtseize, but if I Iteration, I want to Iteration first. And that means that I just can't do anything else this turn. So I think I actually want to Thoughtseize and Murktide. Pedro, creativity is what I'm thinking they're on. I don't know for sure, but that's like the gut feeling here. Yep. All right, so then let's just go ahead and jam Murktide. Teach a Bobble to grow our Ledger Shredder. Just like the Steam Vents and the Stomping Ground just kind of screams creativity. And the hope is next turn that maybe Iteration can help us find like a counter spell. Or there is no next turn. Okay. All right. So we've got Bluster Storms, Spreading Season, Mystical Dispute are all okay. EE's good. Time to pitch those over. I keep hearing people talk about this card. What is Orvar? Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard a card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. Okay, so they flip into a an Archon. We have to have this out on the battlefield, right? Oh, it says whenever it makes you discard this card. Okay. I did not. I thought it said whenever it makes you discard a card. So I thought this had to be on the battlefield for the ability to be seen. Okay, so they Archon, make you discard Orvar. You make a copy of Archon. Okay. Like your token comes in, makes them sack their Archon. Okay. Now we're on the same page. It's read like 4 times, same. Like, okay, get out some of this spot removal. Squee doesn't look like the best thing to be doing here. I could probably just, maybe Squee can pressure planeswalkers pretty well. Board out a Ragavan on the draw. Card spicy AF, I'm getting some. Hand looks reasonable. Orvar the All Form. Like, that's way too spicy for my blood, but it is kind of funny. Like, it's your Orvar and you just get to make an Archon. And the reason that I think it's too spicy for my blood is it's like bad against literally everything else. And it's only good if you have it in hand right when they go for a creativity, right? Spell Pierce Iteration. So, do we want to just take the Spell Pierce? Iteration's like the better card. So I guess I'm just going to take the Iteration. Take the better thing. Don't try to get cute and like Blusterstorm or dispute an Iteration or something when I can just take it. Might be worth it for decks that have pretty bad percent versus creativity. I mean, I guess it's almost like Emrakul against Mill, where it's a card you can have and never have any intention of actually casting it. You just have it in your deck. And that kind of does what you want it to do. All right. I don't mind Ledger Shredder into EE on 0. Like, I'm assuming that they're going to Spell Pierce the EE, but if they do that, that does mean I get like a Spell Pierce out of hand. Rakdos has the self-discard to get the offload it when you need to pitch. That's fair. I don't know how often you want to offload it, but just get rid of the bauble. They do not Spell Pierce the EE. Oh, they've got the Beseiju. But like if they Beseiju the EE, I'll take the land. Absolutely. Are they actually going to? I mean, yeah, I will take a free land in my hand that was missing more lands. Thank you, opponent, indeed. Sometimes they're just like looking out for you. Duration's pretty good. Start with Thoughtseize. I'm expecting this to just get Spell Pierced. But I might just take this opportunity and resolve Spreading Seas. Ledger Shredder trigger, cut them off of a mountain. So I know they've got a Stomping Ground in hand and an Unknown. Spell Pierce doesn't look like the most exciting thing here. Spell Pierce is actually probably better than Mystical Dispute. I think Spell Pierce having the ability to hit like a creativity without needing 3 mana is a little bit of a bump to it. Stomping Ground dead. Counter spell. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I'm just like never tapping off of counters again. So I'm just going to attack, play the Channeler, and say go. And like if I find another land later, then maybe I go for the blue source to be able to like double spell, but like right now they only have 1 card in hand, and they would have to have like creativity plus something else to do. Yeah. We're just playing our spells and attacking. Like the discard of Dispute. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Like maybe in another turn or two, Spell Pierce gets bad enough to throw away, but at least at the moment, like Spell Pierce plus Flusterstorm covers most everything I care about. Okay. Well, we're gonna counterspell something. The opponent was nice enough to shave a turn off of our clock with that fetch, so. Don't have any lightning bolts in post board. Wrenn and 6. They've got 1 card in hand, so I can fight over the Wrenn and 6. Because they can't have a land plus a creativity here. Needs more different counterspell art. Okay. Fair enough. What were we drawn into? There's another blue source and a blue source, and yeah. Okay. All right. Nice little start over creativity. Go update the spreadsheet. Grixis Shadow, creativity, up 1. Okay. Kevin, what's up? The enemy of the people, creativity, you mean? I feel like it's the enemy of Rakdos people. It's not so much the enemy of like blue-red or blue-based people in general. But they do just always seem to have a bunch of Veil of Summers post board. I'm kind of surprised my opponent didn't have 7 of them. Creativity, Rhinos, Pile, the Dookie Piles. Is that the official WotC approved name? The Dookie Piles. Guess we're going to keep it. Having like our only 2 non-blue sources in the opening hand is pretty awkward. Oh boy. Scapeshift. this hand needs to find, like, shadows and thought seizes quickly. Surprisingly, this is a matchup where Counterspell looks a lot better than Drown in the Lock. Okay, let's get rid of that. Yeah, this this hand not looking too great against this matchup. But we'll see. As just creativity with Search for Tomorrow. That's not creativity. Never mind. I don't know. No, this has got to be just Scapeshift, right? Like Scapeshift with Soul of Windgrace. Decks are just Jun nowadays, are they? Shows what I know. Okay. So they're going to have Titan mana next turn if they want it. Which is pretty rough for us. But if they go like Explore effect into Scapeshift, we can at least not die. So that's a plus, I think. But it kind of looks like they're just going to hit land drops and call it a day. Okay. Let's heat. Guess I'm putting that on top. Dash Ragavan. Draw. Discard you. Oh, you're right. There you go. Decided to draw into the Murktide on the off chance that they don't have escape shift right here. Then we're just like winning the game next turn very aggressively. 2, 3, whatever. Blue. Go. They've got the escape shift. We're dead. So that's a start for us. No. All right, make you show me the mountains. Sacking the Valakut? Why are you sacking the Valakut? That's the thing you don't have to do. They don't have enough mountains. They don't have enough mountains. Always make them show you the mountains. The toughest thing to do in Scapeshift, count to like 13 or whatever you need for your mountain count. Love to see it. We did not deserve that. Okay. Sideboarding. Sideboarding. We got counter spells, fluster storms. Terminate could come in, but we're kind of like the aggro deck. So I really want to keep in like Shadow, Thoughtseize, Lightning Bolt to potentially grow Shadow. Squee looks pretty slow. Like, I want to keep in as much of this as I can. Maybe like an iteration. It's not really a grindy matchup. Terminate in could be an idea, but usually, like, if a Titan or something resolves, it's probably game over. So, usually try to work towards a game plan that's more counterspell heavy. Just not let the Titan come down. All right, opponent mold to 4. That's a good start for us. Let's get a Steam Vents, play Channeler, play Bauble. Because I would rather find the second blue source than worry about like Shredder plus Bauble next turn. I think I'm actually going to bin that. Lightning Bolt. It is kind of funny that we only have 2 non-blue sources in the deck, and we seem to see it a lot, or see them a lot. Or at least we've seen them a decent bit so far. Peter, what's up? Hope you're having an awesome, awesome Tuesday, or Thursday. Days are tough. Oh man, they just keep double Ren. What am I splashing black for? Thoughtseizes and Death Shadows. I think I'd rather get down Murktide here as a 5/5. Then next turn, if I find another land, I can like Ledger Shredder plus Counter Spell. Assuming it's not basic Swamp, but this allows me to take out the Wren. To explore. I could also just ignore the Wren. Like, they're dead in 3 turns. So I hit for 5, they take Wren up to 6. I hit for 5, they take it up to 7. I hit for 5, they're dead. And I just have, like, counter spell for the next 2 draw steps. It's obviously a lot worse if they've got like a Titan or like a Veil of Summer. I think I'm just going to go for them. I think because I've got them dead in 2 turns with counterspell for the next 2 plays. Like I said, it's obviously a lot worse if they have like a Veil of Summer, but okay. So let's attack at them again. And we'll Thought Seize, so if they have a Veil of Summer, then they should just have to use it on this. All right. Better believe I'm going to make you show me mountains again. Woo. Still in that game 1. Extremely nice. We'll take that. Agree, ignore Ren. Yeah, like, if Ren was ulting before we got the kill, then I'd probably take a turn to hit Ren. Or if we didn't have, like, a whole bunch of counter spells. Pretty good fight for OP mulling to 4. Yeah, I feel like their hand was just double 2 lands, double Ren and 6. And they just said, like, let's go. Because I know their first draw off the top was Lightning Bolt. So they had to have, like, land, Ren. And then I feel like the extra card was just another Ren and 6. And they just said, hey, I'm going to win this game by getting a Ren down. Okay. Against a Gigantha opponent. Think I'm going to lead Steam Vents, Channeler, Bobble, just try to find like second land drop. There we go. Because Gigantha revealed means this is probably Shadow Mirror. Speak of the Devil. Okay, pretty good draws. So let's go Dash Ragavan. Thoughtseize. And we'll take their Thoughtseize. Really expected them to just hold up, drown in the lock here. All right, so they've got a Lightning Bolt and a Terminate. I want to just start on Unholy Heat and see if I can, like, bait out this lightning bolt on me. I think I want to save the iteration, at least for, like, a turn. I'm also kind of thinking if I can get like lightning bolt on one of these, untap, kill the other one, and I just get to like free roll the iteration, then that feels pretty good. Another hand is terminate, drown, unknown. Terminate, drown, swamp, unknown. All right. Well, that was the worst case scenarios. If they find a land plus another removal spell, a 1-mana removal spell. All right, well, that's great for me. So add Gauntha to hand. Interesting. Huh. What of these am I supposed to keep and bottom? Squee does look decent here. Like, I could Squee to hand, play out Murktide. I know they've got the Terminate. Yeah, I guess that's probably best. All right, so we're going to go a bit of a light Murktide. I think I have to at least make it a 6/6. So they can't just, like, play out Gigantha. And I know I've talked about it before, but I'm not a big fan of plays like that from our opponent, like fetch and shock when you don't have a shadow or anything in hand. Okay. Here's a Squee. Here's a Squee entering combat. So you got to take one if you want to play out the Gigantha. And now if we go to our turn, we attack. Unless we find like a removal spell or something. Nope. All right, so we attack. Squee makes a dude. If they block a dude, they die. If they block Squee, then we bolt the Gigantha, take it out, and get back Squee. Squee. And we exile one land, creature. All right. Squee. Not Squee. Oh. This is definitely my fear with Squee is him just like being such a small creature on board. Like, I get the, oh, you can bring him back over and over again, but he's still a 2/2 that makes a 1/1. Like, he is very, very far from imposing. Not Squee's fault he's not getting back up. See what happens. That might be enough. Oh, man. I think that was like a we won in spite of Squee game. Like, Squee did not impress there. Squee OP my ass. Squee looked terrible. Or that's kind of unfair to Squee. Squee didn't look terrible. It just didn't look good. Squee died, made like 6 dudes and won the game. Squee made 2 dudes, 3 dudes. And if my opponent had found like 1 interactive spell sooner, wouldn't have come close to winning the game. Like, honestly, you know what would have won the game? If I had played out Ragavan, put Murktide in hand, and they terminated the Ragavan. Then I would have 100% just like won the game with Murktide. So, all right, I'm on the draw. Kind of fine just boarding out all the hand disruption. I got a bunch of good stuff to bring in. Spreading Seas is actually really decent. Squee hates an abomination. You're an abomination. Squee hate is deserved. Maybe I don't want Spreading Seas. Like, I think Spreading Seas is good in the matchup. I just have no idea like what I'm cutting in favor of Spreading Seas. Maybe I just want to like cut some number of counter spells on the draw. Squee won you the game. Squee was a participant in the game that we won. I'm not going to go as far as saying Squee won me the game. Squee was on the battlefield for some amount of time during which we won the game. All right. Little Ragioli. Hearse is decent. So let's go ahead and pop you. Squee we trust. All right, let's see how difficult it would be to get a Squee emote commissioned. Probably wouldn't be that difficult. It's not up at the top of my list, but you know, what you gonna do? All right, so we're just going for unlicensed hearse here, right? It dodges drown in the lock right here. Ledger Shredder. Okay. It's a pretty good draw to follow up the Ledger Shredder. Let's go Lightning Bolt. Say go. Hold up this unlicensed hearse in case I want to hearse myself in response to a drown in the lock. No. Be gone, thought. I've just like 100% got an answer to Ragavan, right? But Squee deserves to be promoted to a sub badge, stream mascot, stream avatar, and YouTube thumbnail on every video. That might be a little bit excessive. Just like tiny bits excessive. I'm not saying it's like a terrible idea, but all right. So I, for one, really feel like my opponent has got the card Drown in the Lock. But can also just like burn a Terminate to check for it. Oh my god. I never saw it coming. That's what she said. Kaito. I really want to get down Kaito here, but I think it's better to try to get it down with the shadow off the board. Let's see. Structo, I'm going to give you feedback because I do hope it can be helpful. I was really excited when I found your stream, but I did end up unsubscribing because of some of the negativity. I feel like every time a new card came out or was suggested in chat, you always want to tell everyone why they were wrong and not, hey, I can see where they might be good. I'm letting you know this not to be rude, but just to let you know something that's turned me away. Totally okay if that's just not your style. Well, I appreciate the feedback. It's always good to hear opinions and thoughts. I think usually for me, like what's a good way to put it? I'm pessimistic on cards that I feel like haven't had thought put into their reasoning. Like people love suggesting cards. I love hearing suggestions, but a lot of times people don't really have like a reason why they're suggesting a card. It's just, oh, this card needs to be played. This card is obviously good. And 9 times out of 10, it does not end up being the case. I'm not throwing this Kaido into another drown. Give it a shot. I think they might have a Terminate. I don't get what is that good on Ith. Can you explain? I mean, Kaido? For the most part, like, the good part about Kaido is it's just recurable card advantage. And the fact that it's on a planeswalker means it's a little more difficult to interact with. So it's a way to get you ahead on cards in matchups like this where the game's going long and usually a few cards can be the difference. Let's just terminate you. Say go. But yeah, like Destructotron, I definitely like I said, I appreciate the feedback for sure. And a lot of times I can see where my thoughts or opinions might come out harshly. I think I'm just naturally pessimistic when it comes to new cards because a lot of the times I think we look at new cards through like rose tinted glasses, like, oh, this is the shiny new toy. This is going to be the next Ragavan or the next Ren and Six, whatever. And don't really look at cards objectively. And so I always try to take a step back and say like, okay, convince me why this is a good card. Like, I don't think it is, and whether I think it is or not should be irrelevant to whether someone else wants to play the card. Like, I'm going to play devil's advocate for every single new card that comes up because that's what it takes to get put into a deck, is scrutinized and not just like accepted because it's new and shiny and whatnot. I think that there are test periods that everything goes through. Like, we try out stuff. I'm trying out Squee. I don't think the card is necessarily what we want, but we try it out because that's kind of part of the process. We try out new ideas on here. We try out users or chatter suggestions all the time. It's how we get to things like Marduk's Shadow Blade and Esper's Shadow Blade and Urza's Saga in our Shadow deck and whatever else. But for the most part, like, there is a level where we have to understand that this is, at the end of the day, like, my money being used to fund leagues. So if somebody comes in and like subs, makes donations, whatever, then that's their money. I'm glad to put it to use to show what they want to see. But at the end of the day, like, if I don't think a card is good enough for me to warrant putting my own money towards playing that card, then I think it's very dishonest of me to say, oh, yeah, I think that card's great. I think that card has a lot of merit, if I wouldn't support that card financially myself. Like, that I think is putting a false impression out to people that, oh, yeah, he approves of card XYZ, he'd play it. And I don't want people making that mistake. Like, I don't want to say, oh, yeah, Squee's great. It's an awesome card, really good. And then I wouldn't play it or I wouldn't put it in the deck because I don't think it's good enough. Like, that's disingenuous. I couldn't like see myself doing that to anybody. But if somebody from chat like discusses a card and puts a rational argument out there and I think it's got some merit, then I'll put my money into trying it out. So I guess that's kind of the best explanation I can give on that. Man, I wish Faith's Shield wasn't bugged. Been bugged since like 2017. um, against Yorion, hand's okay. If they've got like a turn 2 Rin, then it's going to be a bit problematic, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I can find like a Spell Pierce. If they play a Rin, this might have to be like Bolt Rin, untap, dash Ragavan into it. Which I don't really want to do, but maybe they think I'm Murktide and just like don't play Rin into what could very well be a Spell Pierce. But I think if you're on a mole, you just kind of jam the Rin. Oh, never mind. Yeah, Steve, I feel like, has Faith Shield been bugged since Hogak was around? I feel like it's been that long. Oh yeah, figures. That figures. All right, so Oath of Nissa just got a Wooded Foothills. So we're just holding up Counterspell. These non-blue sources have really, really been hurting. Every time we've had a non-blue source, I've just been like, I wish this were anything blue. We could Squee, dash Ragavan. Guess we Squee. Squee looks a little bit better into like the Planeswalkers. I would love if Squee said like you may cast Squee from your graveyard or exile by paying 3 in a red and exiling 4 cards from your graveyard. I think that would be a really cool little knock of the hat to OG Squee. Like, can't play out anything without holding Counterspell up. And I just know if I dash Ragavan, there's going to be like an Unholy Heat or something on the Ragavan. I'm not going to get the treasure. I'm going to be off of Counterspell. This is just like what these 4-color decks thrive on, is stumbling just a little bit, right? Like, they need a little bit of time to set up, so if you just like mope around, give them a couple extra turns. Thoughtseize is reasonable. Hallowed Moonlight. Creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast. Exile it instead. Omnath, Vivian. Okay. I think we can formulate a plan to win against this if things don't get like exponentially worse in the next couple of turns. I have to Thoughtseize and Omnath because it says draw a card. I really need to counterspell something like ASAP so that I can get Delirium in the yard for Unholy Heat. The anti-scam tech, what, Hallowed Moonlight? I mean, I guess in worst case, it is just like a redraw, so... Alright, so Counterspell is in the yard. Fetch land. Give me a fetch land. You were close. Okay, so we dash rag. So that could hit a Ledger Shredder. Hit a Murktide, but I can't cast Murktide. Hit another fetch land. I think the red's more important. Alright, so Yorion, Vivian, unknown, drawing into a second unknown. Sacrifice a creature, something. Mill 5 cards and put any number of creature cards milled this way into your hand. Create a 4/4 Rhino. So mill 5, and they get to put 2 Planebound Accomplices into hand. Okay. We will go to my turn in case I maybe find another Lightning Bolt. Okay. Vivian is on the board, so their hand is Yorion, 2 plane-bound accomplices, 2 unknowns, +2, sacrifice a creature. It doesn't target, so if they just play out double accomplice and tick up, I can't do anything. +1, MILF. That part doesn't really matter. So I think my best line is fetch and shock to 10, play double shadow, and I've got double removal spells. So if they go like accomplice, tick up Vivian, I can kill both accomplices and kill on the crackback. This plays around like accomplice plus counter spell. It plays around double accomplice tick up. I guess if they drew a Solitude, they just get rid of my shadows, then it's a lot worse. Or Endurance. So maybe I should have killed the Vivian on my turn. Like, obviously it worked out, but what's my next draw? Like, Solitude wipes my board. I'm not presenting lethal. So I should have played the Channeler over one of the... No, because then they would have just exiled the Channeler and it wouldn't have mattered. I don't think I can beat a Solitude. Well, it just like completely depends if they have to ditch Yorion and don't have another creature. So there's a whole lot of ways Solitude loses. Mainly like the vast majority of them. Oh well. Alright, so this is like one of the creature heavier builds. On the draw. Well, I'll probably need bolts if they're running Planebound Accomplice. Bolt might actually be better than Unholy Heat. Spreading Seas is probably whatever. I don't even know if I want Mystical Dispute, honestly. Chandler's pretty bad if they've got Endurance. So maybe like that. It's one of the things that's always so rough about these 4-color pile decks is you just like don't really know what flavor they're on. You know some basic general hints, but not the details. Sorry, my mother called. Be right back. Well, be streaming, but audio. Okay. So their hand should just be Ketria Triome Island at the moment. My best bet is probably to get down Ledger Shredder and then hope they don't top deck anything too insane in this one draw step, and then maybe I can iteration or something after that. Ice Brew really helps digest the Murktide from yesterday. Well, it's not perfect. It's really funny. We've only got 2 non-blue sources in the deck, and I feel like I've seen both of them in just about every game, or at least one of them. All right. It's in the worst thing in the world. Counter spell. Well, that makes me want to just like terminate terminate here, kill the Teferi, hold up counter spell. If they did something like play an Ice Fang Coatl to block, well, they couldn't because they don't have green. But if they did do something to deal with the Ledger Shredder or keep it from killing the Teferi, I'd probably just play the other Shredder. But what do we got? I just got to counter this, right? I don't want to like take the chance that they've got the Nissa in hand. Okay. We'll go Ragavan to hand. Thoughtseize to exile. Thoughtseize first. Just gonna ditch this extra shredder. I like the Thoughtseize here. Or not the Thoughtseize, the Spell Pierce here. In case they do top deck like a what's it called? Nissa. Is it Nissa or is it Vraska? I think it's Nissa. Forgot. I guess they wouldn't have the land for it, so it probably doesn't matter too much. Cycle, sure. All right, so start with iteration. Dispute to hand. Ragavan to exile. Dash the Ragavan. Ditch one of the 75 extra Ragavans that we've got access to. Attack. Yep. Play a land, say go. Opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. Not going to fetch here in case one of them is a Solitude. Man, we good at this. Counterspell. You look better than Spell Pierce, that's for sure. Alright. Dash Ragavan. This can get basic island, so let's do that. Hiya. And you've got 1 draw step, and I've got 1 counterspell. Let's see who wins. Okay. 4080 start. So let's get up a prediction going. Twitch. Go here. Start a prediction. Start. And go. All right. Prediction is live. For anybody who's wanting to risk some channel points, either yes, we are totally getting this trophy, or hell no, we don't have a chance in hell. Both options are valid. Spoiler alert: the no's I think have a higher overall win percentage. Easy 10K on Squee list. We'll see how it goes. Like, Squee has not been a remarkably impactful part of the trophy so far, or the potential trophy, but been non-zero, I guess. So wait, got like a minute left on the voting, so we'll give that another second. All right, we need some naysayers, because like everybody's predicting yes, and y'all aren't gonna win anything if nobody says no. 20 points in the no category. We'll take it. Somebody in the nose is about to win big. Oh, nose are climbing. That's what happens when you shit on Squee no doubters. All right. 20 seconds left. Tally in your votes quickly. In case you need the deck list for the last like 10 seconds. The no's are just like screaming up. What did we defeat in the previous matches? We beat 4-color Yorion last round. We beat Grixis Shadow. 4-color Scapeshift and 4-color Creativity. Those have been our 4 matches so far. All right, votes are in. Let's get on to the last match. There's been a whole bunch of pile decks. That being said, we beat like Scapeshift because our opponent sacked all of their lands and didn't have enough mountains to kill us in game 1. We beat Big Nissa double plane bound accomplice out of 4 color because we just happen to have like extra removal spells. So weird, I'm not able to see the voting. I have no idea why that would be. What do we got for round 4? Looks like scam, probably. So let's just start with just gonna go ahead and Unholy Heat. They could have a dashed Ragavan, but it's not like the end of the world if they do. Yep. You're a believer? Well, I'm glad you are. I've been like talking up the naysayers on this one. But I'm also just trying to win a bunch of points for the people who voted yes, so trying to play the fence and help all sides. Take Thoughtseize. Or take Shredder. It kind of makes me want to just hold up Counterspell here. We'll take another iteration. Yeah, I think I'm just going to hold up Counterspell. Scam's got so many like really good 3-drops that interacting with one of those could just be a solid point in our favor. Jace the Mind Sculptor deserves a spot over Kaido, just saying. We tried out Jace yesterday in Murktide, and I don't think it ever did anything. J-Man almost missed your hydrate, but I got you. Especially got to stay hydrated today. I've got a couple softball games tonight to play in. So. I don't know if I'm a believer now that I saw Kaido. That's fair. Kaido looked good against the 4-color deck, though. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and use one of these here counter spells. Mainly so I can, like, iteration kind of free and clear. We could also dash Ragavan. What's worst case scenario is I dash Ragavan and they untap and go Grief, Undying Evil, Grief. So I think if that's the case, I would rather resolve an iteration here. Throw a Channeler out here so I can get down a threat. Events, yes. Channeler, yes. Say go. Iteration into playing Ragavan seems fine. Probably. Especially if they're doing this. Like, that is phenomenal for me. And now I kind of get to do everything. I get to Thoughtseize, take whatever best card in hand is. I think I'm just taking Spyro. I beat this Liliana with just like threat, expressive iteration. I beat Blood Moon pretty easily. So yeah, I think we're just gonna hard cast Monkey. Hard cast the Murktide and say go. And I don't think there's much they could do here that I really care about. If they find like a Grief or a Fury, they've got to pitch one of these to take out one thing. So maybe like Fury, ditch Blood Moon, kill Ragavan, Iteration whiffs on a counter spell, and they get down Lily. Could be a way they get out of this. Maybe they found like another. That's a really good draw. Let's just start with the attack. A little extra mananas. Iteration to hand. Lightning bolt to exile. Just bolt them. Seems fine. They go. All right. Poor OP. No poor OP. OP registered scam. Poor us. All right. Let's think about what we're doing. As I always say, these are just like the maybes. It doesn't mean that I'm bringing these cards in. I just want to be able to like see them in one spot. Any of those could potentially see a spot. I think Dress Down or Spreading Seas, it doesn't really do enough. Dress Down's really slow against turn 1 or 2 scam. Terminates better on the draw than the play. Flusterstorm, better on the play, but still okay on the draw, but it's like B tier bringing in. I think these are like my priorities, and these are like my secondaries. So based on that, Hand Disruption is pretty weak since they're running a bunch of it, plus like Griefs and stuff. I don't really expect Leyline of the Void. Kaido is a priority in this economy. I think I'm going to do like the 3 Thought Seizes and maybe like a Channeler. Keep the Ragavans, keep the interaction for Rag. Keep all the answers like a turn 2 Hearse. Flusterstorms. I might want to Flusterstorm over the other Channeler. I don't hate that. Just help answer like a turn 2 scam. Opponent's going to flip out when they see their shadows. I'm going to flip out when we see our shadows. Oh, I've missed a couple follows. Freewheeling, ETRNL88 and Doomrex. Thank y'all so much for the follows. Hope you're having an awesome Thursday so far. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. So, reasonable hand. Turn 1 Ragavan. Unlicensed Hearse. Stop scams. All right. I know that they're a Hand Disruption deck, but if I see exactly an an Unholy Heat or a Lightning Bolt, I would rather play that than play out Ragavan. So I'm kind of leaning into giving myself the chance of hitting one there. Yep. You may have my Flusterstorm. Okay. Option number 1, Ledger Shredder. Just play out Shredder, see what happens. Option number 2, Unlicensed Hearse. Option number 3, hold up Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce is pretty dead if they've got like Ragavan hit into 3-drop. So I think I'm just gonna get a basic swamp and play out Shredder. GDS with Murktide, now we talking? Okay. Now what is your 3-drop of choice? Just play Grief. Okay. Alright, so let's start with Hearse. And then we will bolt the Grief. So they can't use an Undying effect on it. Damn, Monkey's gonna take away the game again. Dude, turn 1 Monkey is just so polarizing in Modern. What do you think about adding Mana Leak in the main board, sideboard for a better castable counter? So I've been trying out Mana Leak in like Hammer Time and stuff, and it looks okay. Personally, I think like just counter spell is better. As just like you can't stop this from countering something kind of effect. Instead of just, oh, you get to pay a little extra mana. Because like counter spells S tier on turn 2 and it's S tier on turn 12, right? And that's like the big draw to playing counterspell to begin with. All right. Counterspell is best, but double blue is very hard. We can always rework the mana though, right? Like right now, we're playing 2 non-blue sources in the entire deck. And I feel like we hit them a pretty good amount of the time. Push. All right, so we just got like one draw step. But we're also not playing like Archmage's Charm, so that's a pretty big deal. All right, Shadow. Shadow, do your thing. Or Expressive Iteration for me, not for them. I want Expressive Iteration. You don't get Expressive Iteration. Can't stand Blood Moon. I'm always about to put Basic Island. Well, we've got Basic Island in this list since we're not running Croxa. not believe there's anything we can draw to get out of this. So if we had drawn that expressive iteration, it would have seen not enough to keep us alive. Okay, game 3 on the play. Thoughtseize is a lot better on the play than the draw. I don't want to like flood out on them. Opposing Ragavans are easier to answer on the play. Probably still want Spell Pierce. Actually, I think I'm just going to keep it like it was. How Squee felt. So we've played Squee in 2 matches so far. We played it against 4 color, and it made a token, then got Leyline Binding. And we played it against Grixis Shadow. We hit them for 3. They killed it. We got it back. They blocked it. We got it back. They blocked it again. So it made 3 tokens. They killed it twice. And we ended up having to top deck like another hasty threat to actually win. But okay. Keep this. Bottom the Blood Crypt. And I want to get a Steam Vents. So if I get Steam Vents off of this, or I can do it off of either, right? And get Basic Island off the other. So that I'm insulated from Blood Moon. Like counterspell more than lock, or like would I like counterspell as drown and lock more? It's probably actually been better as counterspell than it would have been as drown and lock. Nothing worth it to note. Not really. Like it plays a little bit better into Blood Moon, but we also just haven't seen it against Blood Moon. All right. Well, if opponent's got turn 1 Scam of Fury, we're in some trouble. Okay. Ragavan and taking over a game. Name a more iconic duo. Would you put the second island in instead of Fiery Islet? Probably not. Like, there's a big cost associated with running a whole bunch of basics in your Death Shadow deck. Like, if it wasn't for Blood Moon, I probably wouldn't even run the second one. Alright. Counter Turok. Okay. Good draws. So let's go Kaido to hand. Ledger Shredder to the bottom. Bolt to exile. That out of here. So we accept having a lot of dead cards against Blood Moon. Just saying, not ironic. Pretty much, like, your hope against Blood Moon is Spell Pierce and Counterspell are going to be enough to kind of get you there. If they're not, then you're probably going to have a tough time against Blood Moon anyway. Okay. So let's go Kaito, make a dude, Hearse. Kaito goes away on vacation for a turn. Pretty good last card for them. Kaito's going to have a really tough time making you a believer against a board that's already got pressure on it. Like, Kaido into an empty board, really, really good. Kaido into a board that's, like, already got stuff on it, pretty tough. It's not like a Liliana that comes down, takes a creature out of the equation. See if they want to respond to this with their Hearse. Think about adding Brazen Borrower as an answer against Resolve Blood Moon, but we were basically building our blue-red Murktide at that point. So, this is where playstyle comes into consideration a lot of the times. Like, I would rather build my deck to not let Blood Moon resolve than try to fight the battle after one's already come down. Like, I think trying to fight after it's already come down is a losing battle. Ah, yes. We found the good cards in our deck. Like, the way I approach it is like this. If I want to fight the don't let Blood Moon resolve fight, then I've got Hand Disruption. I've got Hand Disruption, Spell Pierce, Counter Spell, Drown in the Lock, whatever, to help fight that battle. If I'm fighting the get rid of Blood Moon after it resolves, I've got Feed the Swarm, Brazen Borrower, and that's like it. Both of those require that I have the basic out after Blood Moons come down anyway, and that card in hand, where if I fight the don't let Blood Moon resolve plan, all I have to do is have like some number of those answers to them before they cast Blood Moon in hand. So instead of relying on, like, we'll say 2 Feed the Swarm, 2 Brazen Borrower, all I got to do is find like Spell Pierce, Counter Spell, Thought Seize, Ragavan. Ragavan can be like after it resolves too. Bad Mystical Dispute, anything like that. And I can fight the don't let it resolve plan. Reddish Redeemed Hydrate, gotcha. But I think always like the most useful way to play around Blood Moon is just get whatever basics you can So Blood Moon might come down. It might make some cards irrelevant, like Counterspell, Murktide, Regent, but you're still just able to play the rest of your deck. All right. Let's choose an outcome. No, Mike's a scrub. Complete the prediction. Told y'all to vote no. What did we think of the deck? I think it went solid. Some of the cards that I was not so impressed with, like Squee is okay. It's just like, it's a recursive threat that I think is less impactful than Croxa for almost the exact same requirements. Like, again, it's 4 mana to get back for a 2/2 that makes a 1/1 instead of Croxa just being a 6/6 and discard a card. The difference in getting it back from the yard is pretty close to negligible, like the 1 extra card. It's not 0, but it's not some huge amount. Ledger Shredder did better in that league than it has for me in previous decks. So I was kind of glad seeing only 3 copies. The mana base, I feel like it's probably going to end up just being cut the Blood Crypt and add an extra something, like an extra Steam Vents. Because there were just a lot of times that we drew Blood Crypt Swamp, and that looks really, really bad in our Counterspell deck. But I don't know if I want Steam Vents either, because then I'm afraid of drawing multiple Steam Vents with like shadows and this whole like chunk here. So I almost feel like Blood Crypt is necessary just to get the mana functional, but then Counterspell is just like not going to be good till turn 3 if you have to get Blood Crypt early. But the games that we just had like Steam Vents into Watery Grave were fine. Sideboard, Kaido is in here as like a replacement to Turok, because I don't think we can reliably get triple black to Turok. It was good in one game and the other, but again, it's never going to be great if you play it on like a crowded board. One thing I did not like is I felt like we weren't seeing shadows very often. And there were several matches where I just wanted to have a shadow, like against Scapeshift, or even if we'd found one against Rakdos at some point, then I feel like the card would have been a lot better. But there's not really a lot we can do to improve that consistency. Missed it. How'd the league go? We ended up 4-1. We lost the trophy match in game 3 to Red Black Scam.